Hi everyone, my name is Craig. This morning I did stage 5 of the 2021 Tour of Watopia, which is the Three Sisters route. So notable climbs, it's the Zwift forward KOM pretty early on. Then you have the forward epic KOM, the radio tower climb, and then a bit of a break, and towards the end then you have the Volcano Climb. So I actually came into this kind of rested, so I was just treating it more like a race and see how good I could do, what kind of efforts I could throw down. And part of this is it's not the ideal course for me for assessing FTP, but I want to throw in a solid epic KOM climb and see what kind of power I could put down. So generally with this course, like tactics wise, with Zwift events, you kind of need to start hard. So the goal there is to just be near the front group. These events are large, so I actually joined in about 20 minutes early, which is unusual for me. Normally I just wait till the 5-minute join to pop in. But since there's like 500 people doing this, I thought it'd be better to just join early and be near the front, and then I didn't have to start quite as hard as I would if I was in the back. So generally my goal on the forward KOM here is just to stay near the front. I don't want to expend too much effort, but I'll do what it takes to kind of be in this front group. And the main thing is to save energy for the epic KOM and not just like blow myself up on this little 2 to 3 minute climb by going way too hard. So enjoy. I will pop back in when the epic KOM kicks off. Just had some thoughts about the epic KOM from a race perspective and how you can save energy and all that when you're doing a climb. So hopefully you enjoy. Alright, so here we are with the epic KOM starting. To me there are two main strategies I usually try to employ when I'm doing this. One is to say go harder than I might prefer and try to stick with the front group and kind of sit in and do as little work as I can to hang with them. The downside to this is if they're going really hard, you might totally blow up, and then that's going to impact you later in the ride. So if there are people who are clearly like way stronger than me doing this, I will generally try to just ride it at my own tempo, which is my strategy too. So I'll just ride at like threshold, a little above threshold, and not necessarily care too much what happens around me. If I'm with a group, I might be a little more tactical and back it off a little bit and try to save some energy, let some other people pull. But really for me, it's those kind of two choices. Do you go real hard at the beginning with everybody else and try to stay at the front? And two, do you be a little more conservative at the beginning and just try to ride a consistent hard tempo from bottom to top? So today I actually did a little bit of both. I'd say this first part, I'm definitely going hard. My effort level is pretty high, but I'm not like blowing myself up trying to catch up to that Korean dude in front of me. So something that I also find interesting about this climb is it's draftable. So you'll notice when we get towards the end of this suspension bridge, I think it's Stefan Kirkmare, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name. Dude's a beast. I'm pretty sure his 20-minute power is like over 6 watts a kilogram, or pushing 6 watts a kilogram or something like that. And that's basically my 5-minute power. So I'm not going to hang with him if he decides to throw down. But since sections of this are draftable, you'll notice actually he's coming through right here, pulling pretty hard. I put in a little effort to get onto his wheel, and then what you'll notice is that he's pushing 6 to 6.5 watts per kilo for the next 4 minutes or so. And I mean, I'm still busting my butt to stay on his wheel and working hard, but I'm doing, I think, probably 5.5 to 5.8 watts per kilo for a lot of this. And I'm just sitting in his draft, and what you'll notice is this gap, now we're already at 4 seconds, it will blow up to like 30 to 40 seconds pretty quickly, and I'm not having to put out 6 to 6.5 watts per kilo to get that. Now at some point, riding at close to my 5-minute power is not sustainable for the next 15 minutes of the climb, so I back it off. But I basically leveraged him to help me get this huge gap from that group, and then I just continue to ride at a hard tempo to slowly grow it through the rest of the climb once I pop off his wheel. Another thing to keep in mind when you're doing this climb is that with this route you have the radio tower climb afterwards, so that's another 5 to 6 minutes. It's steep. You're going to want to make sure that you don't totally blow yourself up on the epic KOM portion and then completely melt down on the radio tower part. And you'll see that that Korean guy who's in second place right now, who looks like he when we get to the top of the when we get to the top of the radio tower portion, I'm guessing he just completely imploded, because you'll see he drops his power to just like under 1 watt per kilo for an extended period of time. So key thing to know when you're going up this climb is the radio tower climb in the route that you're doing, and if it is, you're going to want to consider that in your pacing strategy for the climb. So not much else going on. I think I actually pop off his wheel in a little bit because I'm not riding at 6 watts per kilo for the entire climb. If you look at the results on Zwift Power, he did something like 5.8 watts per kilo for 20 minutes. So that's basically this climb and maybe a little bit of the radio tower portion. And that includes like the undulating part at the tops where your power is going to probably drop and you can recover a little bit. So I average 5.3, which is pretty high for me. That was about 354 watts. So pretty hard effort, not like full blast. If I was doing a Zwift time trial and trying to really blast out a 20-minute power, if I paced it correctly and didn't implode before the end, I could probably do a little bit more, but that's still a really hard effort for me. So there you go. Something to consider when you're doing this route is if you got some dude who's blazing in front of you, you know, it might be worth hopping on his wheel for a little bit, doing a little bit of extra work and enjoying that draft. Alright, so here we are coming into the Volcano Climb. There, obviously I'm coming in here by myself, so basically the plan is to just ride a even tempo up the climb, no surging, and just try to keep the gap, or as much of the gap as I can on the people behind me. My thought here was I could give up to a minute on the climb and still work hard the rest of it and probably be okay with that gap. So I basically just rode more close to threshold and tried to do it fairly even pace. So in a race situation with a group, this climb is pretty draftable too. So I don't think that it's a great climb to just smash it from bottom to top. If you do, what you'll notice is that probably a lot of people can hang in your draft and do significantly less power than you're doing and be totally fine. So in a race situation with this climb, I mean, you could attack on the steeper bits, but I would probably not throw anything in on the flatter sections just because of how draftable they are. So I think kind of like this over 5% is kind of where you would look to attack. You could go pretty hard in this section, but it's still fairly draftable. So yeah, if you do this in like a big group, you'll notice that generally the group gets to the top, although it still might be really hard. But the group can kind of stay together with the draft effect. This has a little kicker right at the top, so if you're coming through this in a group, you're gonna have to probably gun that little kicker right at the top and just stay with the group. It's really demoralizing when you kind of beat yourself up for, say, 6 to 10 minutes to get up this climb with a group, and then if you let a little gap grow there, it can grow pretty quickly on the flat section and then on the downhill, and then you're gone, and you just did all that work to get up there with the group, but you just got popped right at the end, and it's hard to close that gap. So if you're going through with a group, just maybe you can't save anything for that, but just be aware that that kicker is there, and you're going to want to try to accelerate over the top in the flat section to make sure you stay with the group before the downhill starts. So you notice here the guy behind me, he lights this climb up. He's at like, I think 6 watts per kilo, like the entire climb. Part of me wonders if he didn't blow up on the epic or on the radio tower portion and drop all the way back to that group, he probably would have been second place on this. But there we go. And what you'll notice is actually he closes the gap down to maybe 50 seconds, 40 to 50 seconds by the top of the climb. So he does it significantly faster than me, but also has to do a lot more work. And then on the way down, I'm, to be perfectly honest, feeling a little blasted from everything that's happened so far. So I keep it in basically endurance zone on the way down. And that gap starts to slowly shrink, and I'm keeping an eye on that in the right hand panel, although it does get a little confusing with all the people who are coming the other direction showing up there. But every once in a while I'm able to see this person and keep an eye on the gap. And right before then, basically the last 2 miles, you'll notice that my effort level picks up to try to just maintain that gap and not have them pit me at the line or catch me close to the line.